Well, hello, Gators. It's fun to see you again just after finishing up with Miss Fisher at our 3 o'clock Sherman Staff Showcase. But now it is time for our virtual parent meeting where we are going to go over a lot of the ins and outs of hybrid learning, what that's going to look like for your students when they come on Monday or Tuesday. And with that, we're going to actually go ahead and bring Mr. Stauffer in because he knows a little bit more about this stuff than I do. So, Mr. Stauffer, how are you doing today?
Doing very good. Thank you, Mr. Keefe. And we're ready. I guess I'm excited to have this opportunity to visit with parents and get some questions and answer some questions that we've been asked and really talk about how prepared we are and excited to have kids coming to school on Monday. We are truly excited for this. So again, this is a live session. So as we go through this, Mr. Keefe is going to be a little bit of a moderator for us. He'll help us keep in line and also see any of the questions that are posted as we go through our progression of things that we want to talk about today. So he'll jump in and out throughout today to help us and give those questions to us as well. Along with us today, you'll see Mr. Channer, our vice principal. At some point in time, he might be doing a little bit of investigative reporting type of style for us. He'll be on the go, and he'll actually be showing us some live footage of the school and some things that we have done here as well. So parents, hopefully you're ready. Guardians, hopefully you're ready. We're ready. And so we're going to go through a few things and kick things off, hopefully the right way. So the first thing we really wanted to talk about is hybrid learning at Sherman. What is that? And I think first, the most important thing we want to talk about is the days. What days do your kids come? So first, we have the blue day and the gold day. Blue day, if your last name starts with A from L, then your students will come to Sherman on Monday and Thursday. Also, if your last name starts through M through Z, you will come on what's called the gold day, and that's Tuesday and Friday. Now, there have been some exceptions to that, and parents, if there are days that you need to have that are a higher priority for you to have your kids on school those days, please just call into the office, let us know. You can also inform your teacher, and we can make some adjustments. But by doing this, it allowed us a starting place to get a balance for kids that as we meet with them in person, we can have a good balanced classroom between those days. So that is what it will look like. You're going to be either a blue day kiddo or a gold day kiddo while we're in this hybrid platform. So next, I want to talk a little bit about what does a schedule look like. So for scheduling purposes, we will continue the same process that we've had on the online distance learning. By Monday morning, your teacher will have posted for your student the whole schedule for the week. Included in that will be what your student will do on the days that they're at home distance learning and the things that will be happening in the classroom. That way, as parents, you can monitor and see what is taking place and see what activities they're learning. And also on those off days, if you need to look at those days at home, I should say, that you'll be able to look and see what was done beforehand and also be able to access materials and where to find them. So that's what we will continue to do. That's something you can expect from each of your teachers. You can also continuously use the Remind app to receive information from teachers. This information will be pushed out in Remind and also posted on our teachers' websites. Here is an example of what that might look like. This is our fourth grade. You notice here on the right hand, left hand. Here we go. I'm on this side right here. On my left hand, you'll notice that we have an in-class expectation of where to be able to find information in at home. Also, they'll have that contact information for the teachers as well. So again, this will happen every Monday morning. You will be able to see what is going to take place for the week. Now, next, we thought it would be appropriate to talk about the day at Sherman in a sequence, in a chronological manner. So we'd like to talk about the morning and what it would look like as students progress through the day, and what we have done in the building to help our students be safe and secure while they're here with us in a learning environment. In preparation for that, we want to talk a little bit about what maybe to bring with you to school. And we think these are helpful items for them to return in-person learning. So I want to make that clear. These are just the in-person learning things. First and foremost, one of the biggest priorities we're going to have is masks. Students and staff are required to wear masks. We really want to make sure that those are taken in place and have them. If you don't have one, that's fine. We will have masks for kids. We have a ton of supply of masks that will be able to help out and keep kids masked up while they're here, as we, again, try to use the preventative measures to keep everybody safe and healthy. One thing we do too is if you can put their name on the mask somewhere, that would be helpful. At school, they're going to receive a lanyard that looks just like this one. The lanyard will be clipping onto the mask so that, in those moments that they take them off and that are appropriate, that they'll still have them, they won't lose them. So we're hoping to not lose too many masks. But in the event that they do, we have quite a bit that we'll be able to replace those with. The next thing we want to mention is water bottles. Our drinking fountains have all been turned off due to the ability they have to help spread germs and viruses. So we want to make sure that, again, kids are safe. So we encourage you to bring a water bottle. In this case, we will have some available as well. But if you can bring one, and even a soda bottle that has been used and rinsed out and washed will be sufficient. But that will help kids be able to maintain their need to have some water. We can have it available for them. So we encourage people to do it. But again, it's not a requirement. These are just things that we think that would be helpful for you to have. The next item is a backpack. Backpacks are going to be a key component. I know in previous years, it's kind of been hit or miss if they really needed them. In this case, everybody's going to need a backpack because we will need kids to bring their iPads with them when they come to school. Now, you can keep your chargers at home. We will have the ability to charge them here. So keep those chargers at home, but make sure kids, when they're coming to Sherman, that their backpacks have their iPads in them. We'll need them. That will help us with not only the work that we will be doing here, but also the work that we will be helping them with at home, that they will be able to load some things on there and make sure that they know how to use them and help you as parents in that capacity, where we're teaching them a little bit more about how to use the technology appropriately. And ultimately, those backpacks are going to help keep them safe. Again, if they have a need of a backpack, please let us know. We have some that we have as well that we'll be able to help support that as well. Now, if first on this one, you notice on the screen, the infographic talks a little bit about if you're going to bring a lunch, if your student's going to bring a lunch, we really highly recommend using disposable packaging. It's not required, but we really like that to be highly recommended. Now, on top of that, we do have free breakfast and lunch here at Sherman. And so everybody who comes to Sherman will have the ability to get lunch for free. Also, just a quick add-on to that, when your student is not in school or in the distance learning day, we will have lunch available from 11:15 to 11:45 to be able to pick up in the bus area, just like what we have right now. But again, that time is 11:15 to 11:45, and you are able to come and pick up a free lunch for anybody 1 to 18. And that's something that we're excited to continue providing for families. So again, these are some items that we think that will be helpful for our return. Just a quick review again: masks, mandatory, got to have them. Please bring them. Water bottles, again, are highly encouraged, but we can help out with that as well. Backpacks, we'd love to have them to help transport their iPads safely. And also, if they're bringing a lunch, disposable packaging if you can. Again, we have some flexibility in each of those, but we just feel that those will be some things to think about as you're preparing your student to come back to school on Monday or Tuesday. We'd like to put a plug right now for iPads. One of the things that we think is really important for our parents to know that's available for them, that's an option for them, is the device insurance. We have some insurance that will cover your device. So in the event that something happens between point A to point B, that it'll be covered. And that's one of the uniquenesses about this insurance plan. It is $23. We do have some information that we have published and will publish again to show you how to purchase that insurance. Again, it's optional, but at the same token, it does protect you in the event that the device is broken. It really helps minimize some of your costs that could be associated with that. Right here, if you notice our infographic, that all the things that are covered. And here's the cool part. The first claim, anything happens with the first claim, they'll replace it. No questions asked. It has to meet those claims right here that we have, the but it will be everything will be covered. In the event that, let's say, something happens a second time this year, then it's only a $20 fee for anything else, and that's a huge discount comparative to what the damage could be for that. So we highly encourage it. Again, it's optional insurance, but we highly encourage you look at that insurance. We do also have a link that we have sent out that will allow you to look about how to do that. It can be done online, or it also can be done in our front office with our office staff. Our office manager can be able to help you out with that as well. So again, a little plug there for our devices. So that's what we would like to cover as far as preparing to come to school. Now let's talk about the arrival. When your student comes, what can you and your student expect when you arrive at Sherman? There are some differences here as we are working on maintaining a safe environment. So these things are not, they're new this year. They won't look exactly like last year. So if you're a returning student or returning parent, there will be some new nuances that are a little bit different. And if you're brand new, well, they're brand new. They're new to you, and it'll be perfect. You won't know any better. So first, in the morning, we have this another little graphic that we'd like to share with you, is that the buses and the walkers, when they arrive, we will open our doors at 8:05. Again, notice that time, 8:05, school doors open. Outside, we will have staff that will be helping by holding open doors and helping people and kids helping kids find their way into the classroom. I do need to make a point here that only kids will be allowed in the building right now. Parents won't be able to come in with their kids to drop them off. So those that are dropping off in the morning, please just stay in your cars and drop off the kids. We'll have staff out there that will be helping them, guide them in, and help them find their classrooms. In the hallways, just as a side note, we'll have hanging from the ceiling all the grades of where to find them. They're color coordinated, and there'll be staff everywhere in the building to help them find their teacher. So if you look at this graphic again, the front entrance, and this is the new part for those who are returning to Sherman, all of the drop-offs will happen at our front entrance. You notice our creative cars that are right there in the front of the school, and we have that green arrow. That will be their entrance. All of the bikers and the walkers will enter in through the bus parking lot entrances. We are going to have all of the students, according to their grade, enter into the building. And again, we'll have staff there helping out and coaching and giving them encouragement as they get to their classrooms. At each of those doors, there will also be a hand sanitizing station and somebody that will be helping to make sure that kids clean their hands as they come in. We'll also be making sure that masks are on. Those who are coming on buses will already have their masks on to ride the bus. The bus company will also be asking and requiring students to wear masks on the bus. So we'll make sure those are securely on, and from there we'll help them get inside the building and find their classroom. And again, you kind of get the flow of our traffic for Monday and for Tuesday and for next week. So that's the morning drop-off. Here's again the idea of kindergarten, 5th grade, and 3rd grade will enter through the entrance that is called the 400 entrance, and that's the entrance that's closest to our back playground. And grades 1, 2, and 4 will enter in, who are busers and walkers will come in through the door that is closest to the parking out front. Now, those, again, who are being dropped off at the front entrance, they will enter through their front entrance, and then we will help them get to their classrooms in the same fashion. So again, I'm gonna pause just for a little bit. I'm gonna look over to Mr. Keefe to see if there's any questions that we have coming in right now. I know this is the first part that's a really different for our returning family members. So I'm gonna pause a second, look over at Mr. Keefe. How are we doing, Mr. Keefe?
We're good. We did have a couple of questions come in. One question here from Julie is asking, will kindergarten students be going all day? And the answer is yes, they will be going on their respective blue or gold days. So great question there.
Yes.
And we did have another question related to the iPad's device insurance.
Perfect.
Asking, is it $23 a month?
Oh, great question. And here's the good news for you. It's a one-time $23 expense for the entire academic school year. So just a one-time.
And we just got a question in here from Sarah asking, what about breakfast?
Perfect. Sarah, you led me into our next discussion, which is breakfast. Breakfast is free, and every student will have one on campus. What we'll do is after all the students enter into the school and head to their classrooms, we will be providing breakfast in individually packages to the students. So they'll have breakfast in their classrooms. Great question. And you must have read our mind. We're going right to it. So that's exactly what will take place.
And with that, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you do have questions, please feel free to put them in their comments, both on Facebook and on YouTube. Also, we are recording this, so it will be available for you afterwards. If you have to go do something in the meantime, you won't miss anything because you can come back and watch it.
Perfect. And what we'll also try to do is we'll chunk it up into different components so that you don't have to necessarily watch the whole thing. We'll give you segments that might be a little bit more palpable to watch on your off time. Or if you want to go back and rewatch it, we're more than happy to do that. So hopefully you're enjoying this format as well. Again, it's live, it's raw. We're not, we have a script, but definitely we're going with whatever comes up. So we appreciate you all being here. And I think we're ready. Are we ready to go on to the next one, Mr. Keith?
We got one more question.
Yeah.
This one asking if they can bring their own lunch, and they absolutely can. And I will get back to the picture here. Mr. Soffer, do you want to fill in just really quick on that while I get that up?
Absolutely. While we do provide free lunches for kids for both breakfast and lunch, you're definitely welcome to bring your own. Our hope, and again, if this is, you can do what you need to do for this. If you want to bring lunches, absolutely send your kid a lunch with them. We're just hoping that you can put it in a disposable package. So that way it's a little bit easier for us in making sure that we keep everything safe and clean. But again, if they have their own lunch pail, we can work with that as well. But you're absolutely free to bring your own lunch. Absolutely. Now, the one thing that I would have liked to have done when I was in elementary school is bring my own lunch and get the school lunch. But that's one that we won't be able to do both of. So even though I would have liked to have done that, I would have tried anyway. Very good. All right. It looks like that's the questions we have at this point in time. So we're going to move on to the next one. We covered breakfast. That's one of the things I'll reiterate again is everybody will have the opportunity to have breakfast. We will have it individually packaged in the classroom after they come in the morning. After breakfast, I think our natural progression is now to talk a little bit about lunch. In lunch, we, again, free lunch for everybody. We have practiced and worked with our staff to make sure that we can accommodate and have a safe environment for each of the students in the lunchroom. We have rearranged all the furniture in the lunchroom to create a socially distant and safe environment. We've worked with our kitchen staff to make sure that that is as well the best safe environment that we can provide for students. And so students will be able to come inside the lunchroom. We will have identifiers that we have placed both on the floor and on the tables to help students with maintaining a good social distance. Now, in the lunchroom, when they go to sit down and eat, they will be able to take off their masks. And again, having this lanyard and having their mask hooked to it, we hope to not lose some masks during that time. So the lanyards will stay at school, but we'll make sure that we, if they do lose them, we do have extra, and we'll make sure that we'll get them to them as well. So they'll have an opportunity to eat. And after they eat, well, when they come into the cafeteria, let me put one caveat. We'll also have hand sanitized stations as they come into the cafeteria, and we'll have hand sanitized station as they leave the cafeteria. Now, after the cafeteria, they get to have recess. At recess, we have created 4 zones for kids to go to. And in each of those zones, we have created and have planned for some games for students to be able to play with their fellow students in their classroom that will be socially distant and safe. During this time, these games are provided to create an environment where they will be able to have their mask off for a little bit of time to get some mask reprieve. We know that we are building up some students' endurances for wearing masks, but we will make sure that it's socially appropriate and that they will have that social distancing, but yet still have opportunities to play and get a break from the mask. Also, at each one of these zones, we will have a duty that will be there helping and teaching the students about the games that we have there for them. Actually, a lot of these are a lot of fun games that I'm excited about to see kids learn and participate in as well. And included in a part of this is our brand new playground. We have 2 of our zones will incorporate the opportunity to play on our brand new public funded. Thank you again, public, for passing the levy that allowed this to take place. We're excited to have kids be on our new playground. So 2 of the zones will incorporate playing on their new playground, so everybody will have an opportunity to do that as well. So that will take us through recess. As they come back in the building, they will again clean their hands. We'll have a hand sanitizing station inside the door that they will each take the opportunity to clean hands. And then they'll head back to their classrooms and continue their studies through the rest of that day, which then leads us to dismissal, or after school pickup. This again will be a little bit different than what you have been accustomed to if you've been a Sherman parent and student. We will continue to have parents pick up at the front, just like the drop off and just like in previous years. The one thing, there's a couple differences that we want to point out. First is that students will start to come outside at about 3:20. At 3:30, we feel that we will be able to have all the kids outside who are there for pickup, and we will start the process of cars coming and driving through. Now, again, parents, at this point in time, we need you to stay in your cars for traffic pattern. Please stay in your car. And if you'll notice here on the graphic that I have here, there's a stop sign that's right at that corner. We are going to have cones put up that will allow you to pull up to this point in time, but you'll need to wait here until those cones are removed. And that is the indicator when all the students are outside with their teachers waiting in line. If you notice our cool little graphic that we played with right there, we made a little GIF to have our car go around the circle. We need all cars to stay in line and to follow each other so that we can have an orderly pickup. If we do this, we feel that we'll be able to do it fairly quickly. And if you have multiple students, you'll start here with the students in 5th grade will be lined up on the right of this screen, or right on my right of the screen, and they will be in order and socially distanced with their teacher. The teachers will have a sign with the teacher name and the grade level. And as you move through, you'll pull up to each of those grade levels, and you'll be able to pick up your student. We'll help them get in the car, and then we will have you kind of follow the pattern of that nice little car that goes through and head on out. Now, again, this is different. The biggest piece here, again, that is different is we really encourage parents. We're going to need parents to stay in the car. There will not be a lot of parking in this area. The parking will be mostly for just travel and moving through at this point in time. Again, if you look at the top, we will be out ready for people to pick up at 3:30. And please, again, just follow the car behind you once you have picked up your students, and you can exit back out. It'll keep our flow and also the safety of all involved at a premium. All right, I think this is another point in time where I'm going to pause a little bit, look over to Mr. Keefe and see if he has any questions before we get into the next stage of our video. How are we doing, Mr. Keefe? Any other questions that have popped up that we could answer at this time?
Yes, we do have a few questions. One right here is asking how you pay for the insurance costs and when. And for that one, I actually did create a video, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, walking you guys through that process. Or if you wanted to come to the building, Miss Dana in the front office, she could take a debit card or credit card for that. We have another question here. Since the lanyards are going to stay at the school, how often will they be sanitized, if at all?
Yeah, daily. Daily, we have the opportunity to sanitize those. So as soon as the kids leave, that will be part of our process of cleaning and sanitizing for each one of the kids. So we have a process in place to take care of that. As we go look at some of the classroom, I'll talk a little bit more about the classroom sanitization. We'll be going to that next, and that's where Mr. Channer is going to help us. We're actually going to show you a classroom, a little bit of how one's been set up, and then we'll show you some of the things that we'll be doing in the interim to help keep things clean and safe for kids. Great question. We have planned for that in making sure that those are disinfected after the students leave every day.
So with that, Mr. Channer is actually getting ready to do his virtual, what were we calling, investigative reporting. And we actually have to go to plan B. So Mr. Channer is going to walk over your iPad, and I'm going to answer the next couple of questions while we get that set up, because we are having some connectivity issues.
Perfect.
But as with everything with the distance learning, we roll with it, we go with it, and we make the best of it. So we have another question here from Britt, which is saying, what if kids don't leave their mask on and what happens then? Well, we have a few things that we have talked with our staff about, a few ways that we can encourage the students to help them with their mask wearing. I know some teachers have been encouraging kids to practice wearing masks during their morning meetings and other class time as well. So it is something that we will work with the students on. Amber had another question. Are face shields an acceptable alternative, or does it have to be a mask? And on this one, I do want to divert back to the page where we were talking about masks. And we do want to have face coverings, masks as best as we possibly can on that. And Mr. Soffer looks like he is ready to jump back in. He's got some better terms on that one. I want to make sure that we have the right terminology shared with that.
Amber, I appreciate the question. There is, we want kids to be as safe as we can. The face shields are going to be an acceptable alternative. We highly recommend the mask, though, but we will work with face shields. Those are definitely better than not having anything, obviously. So face shields would be acceptable, but we highly recommend the mask.
And then we do have one other question here from Marie. Can they bring their own hand sanitizer like the keychain ones?
Sure, absolutely. We will have plenty of hand sanitizer throughout the building. Every room is going to have multiple different spots for hand sanitizers. And so, we want you to feel like they can bring them in for those ride home on the bus or any other place like that. We are definitely fine with them bringing their own hand sanitizers on there. Great question.
No, that is good. And while you are getting the iPad situation worked on, I do want to give a little plug for the Sherman Staff Showcase that we are doing every day about 3 o'clock. We've gotten through about 8 teachers now. It's a lot of fun to get to know them and hear their stories about what brought them to Sherman, what makes Sherman such a great place to be a Gator. Also, as we're going here, we do want to remind you that the iPads are a what's the right word here? A finicky tool sometimes, and they can cause frustrations. I know for me, being the technology coach, that is something that I get to troubleshoot quite frequently. But if there are some things that we can't handle here from the teachers or myself working with you, we do want you to call the help center help desk. It's 468-4777 for that. We had another question come in here. Do we need kids to write their names on the water bottles? I don't think that would hurt anything. I think that is a great idea to make sure that kids aren't accidentally grabbing the wrong water bottles. So I think that is a fantastic idea there. And with that, we are still working on our investigative reporter. So I'm going to divert here and go back for those of you that might be joining in a little bit later. At the beginning, we talked about the arrival, the after school, all that stuff. And if we have a chance here at the end, we will go ahead and recap all that for you. But we are going to be we are recording this right now, actually. But we will chunk it up, we'll break it up, and then we'll send it out in specific spots on that. And one last question came in before we get to Mr. Channer, because it looks like we're getting connected there. The question here is, can my students bring their own wipes to clean the table and chair? That is a great question, which I'm going to divert to Mr. Stoffer on.
Sure. Again, we have no problem with that. We will already have the desks and chairs disinfected. We have that will take place on a daily routine, and also we'll be doing that throughout the day. But again, we're not opposed to helping you feel more comfortable with that. We're totally comfortable with that. We will be teaching some protocols inside the classroom to help kids with the cleaning process and how to keep themselves safe. But we'll be working through that as well. All right, great questions. And again, I really appreciate all of you who are on right now and sending us your questions. I know those of you who might watch this later as a recording, if you do, again, have questions, please feel free to reach out to us through the office. You can email myself. You can still also send it out to our Facebook post as well. And we will answer your questions that you have. So again, for those of you who are live, thank you very much for participating. Those of you a little bit later that might be recording, we're still here and we can still answer some questions if we have not yet done so.
And we had one more question come in that is actually a really good one. They're all good questions, though. But this one here is saying, if a child comes in sick, how will that be handled? And how soon will we, meaning the parents, be notified?
Yeah, so I think the way to answer this is that if a child comes in sick, we are going to show you a little bit of a pattern of things that we will do for a health check in the classroom. We'll show that to you at the end. So I'll hold off on that part and that will explain how it will be handled. Also, as far as the parents being notified, as soon as we are aware that students might have not feeling well and have two of the symptoms, and I'll show you that graphic, we will notify parents immediately. They'll be able to come and pick up their child immediately. So it'll be a pretty quick process, and it will happen throughout the day as well. When I get to that part, when that question comes up, if I have not answered it sufficiently, please feel free to answer some more questions. But we do have an infographic that we will share with you, and also ask you for your help in that as well before you send your student to school.
And I'll try to keep you in focus on that as well.
Thank you.
I know for myself, I get kind of distracted here. I'm watching Mr. Channer's screen, which means that he is ready for us. So I'm actually going to bring in our investigative reporter, Mr. Channer. Mr. Channer, can you hear us?
Well, hello, folks. Thank you for Mr. Stauffer, Mr. Keefe, for joining me on location. Thank you for joining me on location. And also, Gators, thank you for joining us here. A couple of things I want to point out that we're doing around the school for your safety is the hand sanitizer. So we have 6 of the movable standing hand sanitizers that you'll see located at each of our main entrances. Also, additionally, you will see that we have these black pump hand sanitizers placed throughout the school in high touch points. Finally, this is a great example of the efforts we've put within the school, and these are referenced throughout the school that Mr. Stauffer talked about, but the social distancing decals, so the kids, as they're waiting to go into the restrooms, will be able to be spaced appropriately as they wait there. So, and another thing I would like to point out that our teachers have been hard at work on is the ability to keep kids safe in the classroom. So I do want to take you down and show you a classroom setup that has not only the sanitization protocols in place for individual supplies, but also has a great example of social distancing. All right, so we have a 5th grade classroom here that is set up into pods, triangular pods. And you'll notice that the supplies are laid out so that students will have their individual supplies able to be brought out. And then she has the spacing identified with the decals. So there's a gold decal, which is kind of hard to see there in the light, and then a blue day decal. So these students are appropriately spaced apart for the gold days. They have their own individual supply baskets. And if they do need to go to more of a shared supply unit, then those will be sanitized in between usage. But just know that we are going to great efforts to make sure that the kids will be safe and yet still have the best opportunity to learn possible.
Awesome. Hey, thank you, Mr. Channer. And again, as he's kind of doing a spread, we want to do a little bit of an investigative report so you could see live what it looked like. These aren't staged videos. These are just things that we walked into a classroom. As you saw, it was the lights were out, the door was shut, and the lights had to be turned on, and we could show you what we're doing. Also, if you notice at the entrance, and it was kind of quick when you went in, There's hand sanitizers that are there. He actually just kind of turned right through there. We'll have those throughout the classroom. We also have the teachers will have access to a disinfecting spray that they'll be using frequently throughout the day. It's that bottle right there. You can kind of see it. They will have supplies in their classrooms that are all provided in helping us to keep things clean and sanitary for your kids. And again, so that we can keep them in school and that we will have the opportunity to work with them, because that's really what we want to do. Also, you notice right there on her desk when she came in is a little infographic that talks about washing their hands and also how to cover their coughs and what we need that to look like. These will be things in the classroom every day that we will be going over with students, just as a reminder. For our little ones, we'll be doing a lot of teaching. For our older ones, we'll be doing a lot of reminding. So there will be some things that we will be consistent on as far as helping our kids put themselves and ourselves in the best and safest position that we can, so that we can actually get to the learning and we can start doing what we really want to do, is dig in deep to helping them to learn and to grow and become better citizens and students. So with that, I think I'll pause a little bit more for if there's any questions, Mr. Keefe, that have come up, and see if we can answer any of those as we watch Mr. Channer kind of exit the building.
I'll remove Mr. Channer so that we don't get too distracted there. We did have a question come in from Catherine. She is asking what precautions are being taken for bus riders.
Great question. So what the bus company will be doing is that they will be taking precautions on how they load the bus specifically. Again, all bus riders will be asked to wear masks. There will be a sanitation that will take place on each of the buses after kids get off. They will be back on, and they will take care of the sanitization on the bus as well. We will be meeting with the bus driver when they come every morning, and we'll be reviewing to see how things went. They'll be giving us a report on the kids. And at that time, too, we will work as a staff to make sure that we keep things as safe and as comfortable as possible for kids on the transportation part.
And I wanted to bring Mr. Channer back in because it looks like he made his way down to the lunchroom. And I took his sound off just because I don't think, maybe you can hear us now, but you can see the dots that we put on the ground, the wonderful graphic that I designed, just plugging that in there for some fun. The students will be spaced apart as they are waiting for their food. And then we have separated the tables. We are able to get our whole grade level in at each time. And the kids are still going to be socially distanced as well while they are eating.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Channer. Like I said, he's had to put on his track shoes, which has been, we appreciate him helping out with that and doing the monologue while he's filming. I think he had the harder of our two tasks. So thank you, Mr. Channer.
And then here's an example again as
Did you notice as you walk out again, these are some of our dots that will have spacers to help our students continue to maintain the social distancing. We went at lengths to make sure that we could give identifiers to help our kids in that process.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come in, but as Mr. Channer is walking, remember, if you have any other questions as we go, please feel free to leave a comment, and we'll have our Q&A at the end where we will recap, but also we are answering them as we go here. So, Mr. Stauffer, I am going to take Mr. Channer off, and let's move on to the next section.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you for spending the time. I know we're reaching around 40 minutes, and I know your time is very valuable, but we appreciate you spending these 40 minutes with us and asking your questions so that your comfort level as parents and guardians can continue to be better in the things that we have done, both as a school and a district, to help our kids be safe. Now, the last couple of things I want to talk about is what was referenced a little bit earlier, and this has to do with the health of our students individually. So we have a little infograph that I'd like Mr. Channer to show up right now, and I'll kind of talk about it. This is what we're hoping that we can have you do as well. Before your student leaves the house, we're hoping that you can look and say if they are exhibiting 2 or more of any of these symptoms. If they are, please stay home. Let us know, and we can still provide and give you some instruction, and we can provide things for your student while they stay home. Again, if you notice on the screen, The big one is fever. If your student has a fever, they need to stay home. If they are sent to school and they have a fever, we will more than happy to call and let you know and ask you to come and pick up your student. If they have 2 or more of these symptoms as well, we will also be calling the parent quickly and having them come and pick up the child. So again, this is the same type of screener that we will be doing at school. The teachers will do that in the morning after the students arrive. If they feel that they need a more thorough screener, our nurse will be in charge of taking care of that for them, or a designee will be taking care of that screener. Again, our goal is to keep everybody safe. We want to keep everybody in school. We want to make sure that we do the best that we can, and we're asking for your help in this process that we can work together in it. We're excited to have your kids back. I can personally tell you, as I visited with our staff today and we went through all of our protocols and processes that we have set up, they are doing this because they want your kids here. They are excited. They want to teach them. They want them to be here in the school. I am very proud of our staff and how they have rallied to work as hard as they can, not only to provide the best amount of instruction that they can in the online digital learning environment, but how they're going to work in all of these new regulations and safety protocols that we have in place. They have tackled them and are willing to do whatever they need to do to help your kids be here. I'm definitely proud of them. Again, I want to pause here again and see if there's any additional questions at this point in time. I'll ask Mr. Chandler to leave this up for a little bit as well, or excuse me, Mr. Keefe. Mr. Keefe, any other questions that have come in since we have started this part of our conversation?
No, the only one that to refer back to here is, let me see here. Let me get switched back to the right microphone. That's my fault, guys. Is this one here? Is if a child comes in sick, how will that be handled, and how soon will we be notified?
And hopefully, I think I've answered that question for you. It'll happen fairly quickly in the morning. That doesn't mean it's the only time that we're not checking on kids to see how they're doing. We'll be checking throughout the day, but it will happen in the first part of the morning. And if they're not feeling well, we will get on the horn and call parents and let them know. And again, we ask for that also assistance on your end. If your child isn't feeling well and exhibits 2 or more of the symptoms that we just had, we ask you to keep them home. We'll help them with instruction. Every morning, we will have, whether your student is at school or whether they're at home, we'll have a morning meeting in each of the classes that all the students will be able to come to, and we'll be able to continue to help and develop things that will be needed for your students. So again, we are excited to have your kids and keep them safe. Any other questions, Mr. Keefe?
Yes, we had this one come in, and this is one that I had not even thought of yet from Carlina. Do we check every member of the household and keep students home even if they aren't sick? Meaning, she did clarify if somebody else in the house is sick.
Yeah, if somebody else in the house is exhibiting some of those symptoms, it would be wise to kind of look at those things and determine if the student should come to school or not. In this case, we would like to be safe. In that case, go ahead and keep the kiddos home. But again, if they are only exhibiting one or less, or excuse me, one of those symptoms, then it's okay to send the student to school. Great questions. Thank you.
Yes, we're getting some really good questions. Now, I had a question of my own, and
Sure.
this has came up a few times with all the smoke in the air, allergies,
Yeah.
all of those things. Like for me right now, I have a mild cough. I know you're in the same boat as me. What are we going to do to, I guess, differentiate between just a normal allergy cough and what could potentially be a COVID situation?
Sure. I think that's a great question. And it's one I understand, as you mentioned as well. Just, when I have children of my own, one of my children is an asthmatic. And so when you have, he gets his asthma, he does have that cough. One of the things that we're going to look at is that information is really important that the school knows. So in my case, I need to make sure that my school knows that my son's an asthmatic and he has some troubles at times with it. We just need to make sure that that's into the nurse's information. That will help us. That will help us determine that, is this a cold related symptom, or is this something that's related to something completely different? So any information that you can provide to the school and to our nurse about your student, the better it makes us prepared to make different decisions that come into play as we evaluate each and every case as it comes up. And again, I want you to know that we evaluate every single one. It won't be a mass decision. It will be one that's based on every single kid and our knowledge of the student. And that's why the parents will be contacted and consulted as we work through each one of these scenarios that present itself. Thank you for the good question, Mr. Keefe.
Absolutely. We don't have any new questions right now, but please keep them coming. And right now, I think it's whatever direction you're willing to take it, Mr. Stoffer.
Sure. You know, again, I just, as we've talked about, we want you to know that we have done a lot of work over the last 2 weeks and plus of getting Sherman ready. A couple of things that you'll probably notice when you come is that Sherman has had a facelift, and it looks a little bit different from the exterior to the interior. For those of you who are returning, there's been a lot of painting to make sure that the building looks a little bit better. We have a new playground. There's been a lot of things from that cosmetic standpoint that have taken place. Also internally is some of the things that we've shown you to prepare for the current environment that we're in. We have prepared the building in several different ways. We've added hand sanitization stations that didn't exist before. We've added a total of 14 hand sanitized stations. We are adding into every classroom additional hand sanitizing places that kids can make sure that they can keep their hands clean. We have sanitation protocols that are put in place. Our custodial staff is prepared and will be providing deep and depth cleaning every night to ensure that our environment around us is what we hope it to be. And again, that comes back down to so that we can have kids here, so that we can give them the high level instruction that we really want to provide them, and we're prepared to do as well.
Absolutely. We did have a couple more questions come in there. This first one here from Catherine. Do we still need to call an attendance line if our child is staying home? Assuming yes, what is the attendance line number? And I will get that on the screen for you right now. And we are new to Sherman, so I want to say welcome to the Gator family. It's always great to have some new faces, especially as we get the kids back in school on Monday.
Perfect. You know, and I think Mr. Keefe answered that. The answer is yes. If your students are staying home, please let us know. Right here, you'll notice that there's the Sherman office. If you'll call that number and let them know that your child will be staying home, we'd appreciate that. If we don't hear from you as well, our office staff will call and confirm as well. So it works both ways. We're going to call you, but we would also appreciate the phone call as well. And again, welcome to Sherman. We're glad to have you. It's a great place. Love this place.
And we had another question here. If we need to keep our child home, will it be held against them for their attendance?
Yeah, the easy answer is no, it won't. We're in a different time, in a different place right now than what we have been in the past. So the answer is no.
All right. Looks like those are our only questions right now. So again, if we have more questions, please feel free to ask.
All right, parents and guardians, my hope is that you feel a little bit more comfortable. Again, if you are watching this as the recorded version and you still have some questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to answer them. We look forward to Monday. We are energized. We are excited. We're prepared to receive your kids. We're prepared to take care of them to the best of our ability while they're here. I really am grateful for, again, the many hands that have gone into work in preparation for this. We appreciate you as parents. We always feel it an honor when you allow your kids come to us. It is an honor, and we will do our best to take care of your kids. We love them. We're going to care for them the best that we can. We have a saying. I know you guys have all said it or heard it, and those who've been around have heard me before. It's something that I truly believe in. And it is truly great to be a Gator because of the staff, because of you, because of the kids. So thank you all very much. Again, if there's any other questions, we'll get back to you. But for today, we're going ahead and close this session. And as always, it's great to be a Gator. Have a great evening, and we look forward to Monday.